is by my co-host Quentin Crisco. How are we doing that, Quentin?
Super Bowl, man.
Super Bowl is good to be back, man.
I'm juiced up. I have won money on the Super Bowl for like 4 straight years now, so I'm ready to go.
Last year I won basically off of 3 props alone, and I couldn't find any of those valuable props this year, but I think I got a good slate for Propapalooza here. And we have all the nerd stats to get you through the game, and we're going to tell you who the winner is. We got the script because the NFL is rigged, so we got the script early, and we're about to rob Las Vegas. Straight facts, homie.
This is actually like the most nervous I've been on a Super Bowl in a while. This is the first time I'm not hedging the preseason team that I had picked. Like, I laid a preseason bet on KC to win it all.
Yeah.
I didn't lay one on Philly. And I'm not hedging my KC bet.
Don't do it. Smart man. Smart man. A little bit of foreshadowing there, but good to be back. Took a week off. You went to the Senior Bowl. You got to see all the up and coming guys and seniors in the NFL draft. Looked like y'all had a great time out there with the boys, all the lads out there having a good time. So yeah, good episodes, good content out of that. I enjoyed it. So
yeah,
draft season coming up. We're excited for that. But Super Bowl time, baby.
Dude, so what's wild about the Senior Bowl is it's just like pedal to the metal nonstop for like 4 straight days. Like, you get there and you're like, okay, get your credentials, go to practice, go to the hotel, bust out 3 podcasts, write an article, go drink some beer, go to sleep, wake up, go to practice, bust out 3 podcasts, write an article.
It's probably harder for you than the players.
Yeah, dude, it was intense, but it was great though. A lot of good content.
Man, people sleep on that blogger life. It's harder than being a professional athlete. I've been saying it for years.
Absolutely. So, you want to get into this?
Yeah, let's get into this. Super Bowl time, baby. Patrick Mahomes, baby, go.
Don't forget to go check out all our charts and tables over at shaving-points.com.
College basketball model is going off. You can find it exclusively on our website, shaving-points.com. It has been absolutely on a tear this year. So excited. College basketball is in full swing. So definitely make sure you go check that out if you want to win some money on college basketball.
And that's talking basketball.
That's talking basketball. It's Super Bowl, baby.
So, first chart here that we got, this shows the spread. We got Philly, 1.5 point favorites over KC, total at 50.5. Models completely split on this, on the spread. We got 3 models saying that Philly's going to cover. We have 2 models saying that KC is going to cover. And 2 models taking the under, 1 taking the over. Over-under is all like right at the number, so like I wouldn't put a lot of faith in that. But this is pretty much what I've come to expect this year. On like at this point, it's like these 2 teams are both clearly the top teams, and the model's going to say like, yeah, this number's right on. So it's really not very predictive here for us. But we see that 61% of the cash as of yesterday, when I made this graphic, was on Philly. 6% of the tickets on Philly. 39% of the cash is on KC. 40% of the tickets on KC. 62% of the cash is on the over, and 53% of the tickets are on the under. What do you think of that, Jay?
I think it's time to fade the public on the line there. I mean, the disrespect for the Kansas City Chiefs is absolutely outrageous by the public right now. Everybody I've listened to this past week has been all over Philadelphia. Everybody's saying, I don't see how Philadelphia loses this game. Philadelphia are frauds. They haven't played anybody all year. This will be the first true test they've faced. I love Kansas City in this game. As far as the total goes, I love the over here. You got dudes all over the field. I think both these defenses can be exposed. And I just don't see. I mean, the most Patrick Mahomes has ever been stopped in a game was Super Bowl 2 years ago, and he had no offensive line whatsoever. And if it wasn't for like 6 key drops, like they probably would have been in a shootout with Tampa Bay. Just nobody could catch the freaking ball. So, I mean, with no offensive line whatsoever, Patrick Mahomes still made every single throw that he had to make, and yeah, I see points in this game. I see points everywhere. I love the over. Love the over here.
I can see it. I stayed away just because I don't like totals in the Super Bowl. Like it just
That's my favorite
stuff
bet.
gets unpredictable in the Super Bowl, so I'm staying away because I'm scared. But
That's my favorite bet.
So we also see here Philly is 7-1 against playoff teams, 6-2 against the spread when playing playoff teams, and 4-4 on the over. KC is 8-2 against playoff teams, 5-5 against the spread in those games, and 3-7 on the over in those games. Again, it's the Super Bowl. I don't think the historical over/under has a whole lot of merit here. It's either they'll go off or it'll be low scoring early, and then like it's anyone's game. Who knows?
I think if it's low scoring, it favors Kansas City much more than it favors Philadelphia, because I trust Patrick Mahomes in a low scoring game to go down there and get it done much more than a Jalen Hurts, who hasn't really had to do anything since week 15 of the regular season.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's valid questions. Like he has not really had to do much, and there's some questions about his shoulder that has been hurt, and I feel like they're going to lean on the run game a lot. But let me touch on these next two things first before we get into that.
All right.
So this next table, we're looking at the teams that both Kansas City and Philly has played this year. That's the Cardinals, the Texans, the Colts, the Jags, and the 49ers. So we see the margin of victory for each team. KC beat the Cardinals by 23. Philly only beat them by 3. Houston, Kansas City beat the Texans by 6. Philly beat them by 12. Kansas City beat the Colts, or lost to the Colts by 3.
By 3.
But
we're strangest games all year.
Looked like we also have the win probabilities on this chart. Looked like they were going to win all game though.
Yeah.
So fluke ending. It happens. But when we look at what Philly did against the Colts, Philly won by 1, but looked like they were going to lose for most of the game. So they got the luck going their way in that game. Just interesting. That's just an interesting tidbit to me. Yeah. Against Jacksonville, KC played them twice, won by an average of 8.5 points. Convincing across the board, convincingly won. First quarter to finish both games. Philly, on the other hand, their win probability was down at 30% in the first quarter. So they started slow in that game. And then in the second quarter, third quarter, they convincingly took over, won by 8. But that slow start, interesting. San Francisco, Kansas City beat them by 21. That was a healthy San Francisco. Well, sans Trey Lance, but against Jimmy G. Yeah. Philly beat San Fran by 24. They didn't have a quarterback. It was much more convincing, but overall,
at one point they didn't have a quarterback on the roster.
Yeah. Overall, on average, Kansas City beat these teams by 11.1 points. Philly only beat them by 9.6. The win probabilities are all more favorable for KC through all these games. There's a lot pointing to KC here for me. Yep. And finally here, we look at the strength of schedule.
I think this is most telling.
Yeah, for each of the last 10 years of Super Bowls. And the team with the more difficult strength of schedule has won 7 of the last 10 Super Bowls. Jay, which 3 are the outliers? Who is the QB for those teams?
That's the GOAT, Tom Brady, who just finally retired. He'll probably be back next year.
So unless you were playing against Tom Brady, if you had the tougher strength of schedule, you've won the Super Bowl all of the last 10 Super Bowls.
And pretty convincingly. And like you look at some of these teams, like last year, for example, I mean, 2 versus 25. Cincinnati was kind of in it to the end. 1 versus 9 the year before that. Tampa Bay kind of had their way with Kansas City. Kansas City didn't have an offensive line. But you go back to some of the earlier days, you look at that Seattle-Denver Super Bowl. Seattle had the 8th toughest strength of schedule compared to the 15th. Seattle absolutely annihilated them. 2012, I didn't realize Baltimore and San Fran had the 1 and 2. That's kind of crazy.
The Hardballs make it hard on themselves, man.
Yeah, the 2 hardest schedules in the league in the Super Bowl. I wonder how often that's happened. But, yeah, I mean, you look at some of the most convincing wins over the past 10 years, and those are usually the biggest gap between strength of schedules outside of Tom Brady. So
Yeah, the one that will always stand out to me. This is the first time I ever thought about it this way, like looking at strength of schedules or which team had to overcome more in their season, was 2015 when it was Denver against the 15-1 regular season Panthers.
yeah,
Like,
that's
and
the
Denver
closest one to this.
squeaked in, and that was the one where I was like, Denver's winning this game because Denver ain't losing this game.
Yeah,
Like, they have
5 versus
scratched and
25.
clawed to be here. And yeah, 5th hardest schedule versus the 25th hardest. And it was kind of like this.
That's
Carolina
the exact same
didn't play
here,
anyone
9
all
versus
year.
29.
Yeah. Yeah, so KC's got the 9th most difficult schedule. Philly's got the 29th most difficult schedule. Numbers are pointing to KC in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you look at signature wins for Philadelphia, and you look at the San Fran win, no quarterbacks. They played Dallas twice. One game Philadelphia didn't have their starting quarterback. One game Dallas didn't have their starting quarterback. So that's basically a wash. The Giants were frauds all year, so I mean, I don't take that for what you will. They were a frisky team that could win against average teams, but I mean, they beat the Vikings. But you really dig into that Philly schedule, and it's just like, who did they play? Who did they beat? Like, not a whole lot.
So, speaking of which, this next graphic, I have every QB each team faced, and that QB's EPA per play, and also color-coded. Blue here means they made a Pro Bowl, not an alternate, but just straight up made a Pro Bowl this year. Yellow means they were an alternate. Kansas City played Josh Allen, Joe Burrow twice, and Geno Smith, who all made the Pro Bowl on the first ballot.
Yeah.
The only Pro Bowler the Eagles played was Kirk Cousins. And on top of that, KC played 3 Pro Bowl alternate quarterbacks in Trevor Lawrence twice and Derek Carr. Philly played Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence once, who are the alternate Pro Bowlers.
Yeah, so you look at this Philly schedule. So the Brock Purdy played 11 snaps. Dak Prescott beat them, but they didn't play Jalen Hurts, so that's a wash. Jared Goff and the Lions. I can't remember that game much. Did Philly roll that game?
1. Philly won a close game. The Lions covered, so you should never sleep on the Lions. But.
Yeah, so Lions damn near pulled that off. Daniel Jones twice, Davis Webb, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Aaron Rodgers, when they played Green Bay early in the season, if I remember correctly. Earlier in the season.
Yeah, or like right in the middle of the season.
Yeah, but Cooper Rush, Taylor Heineke, a bad Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz is like, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, Kansas City's resume is much, much more impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jimmy G, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Tannehill, Justin Herbert twice, Tom Brady, and then, like, even their bad ones, like Jarrett Stidham's right there under Tom Brady, but he only played a few games. Then there's Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan. It's not like their lower end guys are scrubs. They're guys who are like proven players that had a rough season. Yeah,
and the average is about the same for both, but the median is much higher for Kansas City opposing QBs. So
that's the EPA.
Yeah.
Like, so their average, Phillies gets like outweighted by 1 or 2 guys at the top, but like the median does away with that.
The two guys up top, one of them was a game they lost versus Dallas, which they didn't play their starters, and the other one was a Brock Purdy that played 6 plays.
Yeah.
So you could basically take out Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott out of that because both basically irrelevant.
Speaking of this, though, I think I'm done using DVOA strength of schedule because I just don't agree with it. Like for all this stuff, I use straight up traditional strength of schedule because it adds up more. Like KC clearly played one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. I think they're at like 29th by DVOA.
Yeah, and schedule. On top of that, they had to play that Denver defense twice. Like Philly didn't have to play any defense that looked like Denver other than San Fran, which San Fran gave up in that game halfway through the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a throwaway game. Like, as bad as it was the NFC Championship game, and but I mean that you knew that game was over almost immediately.
Well, it wouldn't have been if they put Trent Williams at quarterback, but
yeah, I said that's what I said as soon as it happened. Oh, back there, it can't be any worse.
All right, let's see how these teams match up a little bit. So here we got the Philly offense up against the Kansas City defense. Really, I mean, this Philly offense is stacked with the best O-lines in the NFL. I mean, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown are a great 1-2 punch with Dallas Goedert at tight end.
Yep.
But I think this KC defense actually does match up with them fairly well. Like, the biggest question will be the run defense and the run game, because Nick Bolton and Willie Gay aren't exactly great stack and shed linebackers, so their D-line needs to keep them clean.
Justin Reed can come down and make some tackles when he needs to.
Yeah, but I mean,
not doing that.
I heard an interesting idea yesterday that, you're not worried about L'Jarius Sneed out there playing. You're a little bit worried about at cornerback for Kansas City. A little bit worried about Watson at cornerback, but your best guy for covering Devonta Smith is McDuffie. And he was saying, and I thought this sounded like a great idea, that McDuffie should just be following Devonta Smith all game, because that is what, that is how they're going to kill you in the pass game. And he's a guy who can really cover him well. He has the agility to stick with him, has the just the feel for coverage for man coverage to stick with Devonta Smith.
Yeah. And this KC defense is young, man.
Yeah.
Like, real young.
Well, so you know who the best defense, in my opinion, the best defensive player in this game is?
Chris Jones.
KC's got the best offensive and defensive player in this game.
Chris Jones is incredible. I think he can break the playoff sack record in this game with 2 sacks, I believe.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's one prop I'm looking at. And depending where he lines up, I mean that Philly line is tough, but I mean,
I'm putting him over Dickerson.
Yeah,
that's right.
I agree. Maybe you can. Jordan Mailata's still a young guy who played incredible this season, but if you can get him out of a rhythm and attack that left side,
Frank Clark.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough, and then if Karlaftis can step up and give Lane Johnson just a little bit of problems. I mean, I know that's a stretch, but Lane Johnson hasn't had the healthiest season ever. I mean, if they can just get this Philly team just out of rhythm just a little bit, because that's one thing that Philly's had going for them. Like, in all their best games, they just get in such a rhythm early and often. But if this defense can just make them struggle a little bit early and get Jalen Hurts off his rhythm, get this offensive line out of rhythm a little bit, and then you get that KC offense rolling with Patrick Mahomes, like, I really think KC can run away with this in the perfect scenario, where I don't think there's a scenario where Philadelphia can run away with this. I think Patrick Mahomes will always be in it.
Yeah.
So
Kansas City is one of the most cover 2 heavy defenses in the NFL, and they can't do that this game. Like, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith will eat them up on the boundaries if they run cover 2 as much as they like to. And really, I mean, they like man coverage outside it. Cover 2 and man coverage looks, essentially. And again, this is not a team you can really do a lot of man coverage against, especially with Jalen Hurts' legs. Like, man coverage will get you eaten up.
Yeah.
Spags, best big game D coordinator in the NFL, right? No question.
Proved it over and over again.
He's got to throw curveballs at him. I'm almost wondering if they go heavy cover 3, which they don't do a whole lot
out of the gate
there. yeah, if they go heavy cover 3 to protect those boundaries and to be able to go single high to get an extra safety down in the box just to stop the run. It's just a question of how long
still be able to have some sort of spy on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. I believe Philly has struggled the most against cover 3. So, like, it wouldn't be that much of a shock, but you got to know Spags going to be in his bag this game. He's going to be doing some fun stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens with this matchup here. And then going over to Philadelphia's defensive side of the ball with KC's offense, this revamped offensive line from 2 years ago has absolutely been incredible. Dooney is
it's really
awesome.
Like, as far as PFF grades go. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, Creed Humphrey's one of the best centers in the game. Joe Tooney's been absolutely incredible for him. Orlando Brown's been solid. Then with Andrew Wiley out there, I mean, they have completely revamped this offensive line with Patrick Mahomes. Isaiah Pacheco has been incredible for him since he's been coming on. Jerick McKinnon has been an absolute beast, like one of their biggest weapons coming out of the backfield in the passing game. I worry about these receivers because I thought all year I thought somebody was going to step up, whether it be Watson's, Juju, Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore. I was like, they just got so many guys. Like, one of these guys has got to step up. But as crazy as it sounds, Travis Kelce was the one to step up. I mean, he was every bit of a number one receiver this year. And having him at the tight end position, it's just a forever safety blanket. And I think if they focus too much on Travis Kelce in this game, they're going to get burned by somebody. I mean, I don't know if Mecole Hardman's healthy. Have you heard anything? Do you know if he's playing?
I do not. I mean, I imagine he's going to push it if he can. But
yeah, but I mean, MVS can take him deep. Juju can eat up in the slot. Justin Watson, I mean, he's got some speed too. Scott Moore's got speed. So I mean, as much as you want to take Travis Kelce out, whether or not like these other receivers, what they've done all year doesn't really matter because they all have the talent to explode. So it's such a tough offense to be able to cover here.
So, few thoughts here. Like, according to PFF grades, this O-line is almost equal to Philly's. Like, I think that gets overlooked. I mean, Andrew Wiley is the only spot that's close to weak, and even he is extremely versatile and solid. Now, Philly, important note here. Vic Fangio is still with them right now. He is still game planning with them. He is not shipped out to Miami and saying, I'm done with the Eagles. Like, he is helping them try to win the Super Bowl, and that's a huge difference to me. Now, what does Vic Fangio like to do? Quarters. Cover 4. Cover 4, cover 4, cover 4. He also loves cover 6, but Philly hasn't run as much cover 6 as he historically had. They've leaned more into the cover 4. So you can expect to see James Bradbury, Epps, Gardner Johnson, and Slay in just quarter segments of the field. That's their deep coverage, right? Now, that's gonna effectively make it tough to get the ball to Valdez-Scantling, make it tough to get it to probably Juju, because I bet you they'll have Maddox just manning up on him there. And Watson out here, who knows? Casey does all sorts of weird stuff with him to try to get him forgotten about. Now, what that is going to leave, when you are taking your 4 deep defenders deep and your nickel manned up on the nickel or on the nickel receiver, the slot receiver, that's going to leave a lot of room for Kelce to just play on the underneath. I expect Kelce to have a lot of catches this game. A lot of catches, a lot of yards. I don't think they're going to distinctly focus in on him. I think they're going to do what they do and run quarters.
Yeah, and he'll eat you alive.
And they say, we'll live with that. We're not getting beat deep. Which I'm not saying would be the right choice. Maybe they adjust part of the game. But I expect Kelce to get a lot of catches,
Whenever you play that way against Kansas City and Travis Kelce, it's like, we're not going to get beat deep. We're not going to get beat deep. Then all of a sudden, Travis Kelce has a drive where Kansas City goes 12 plays for 7 minutes, and Travis Kelce has 6 catches for 48 yards.
So say they switch it up.
11-play drive.
They switch it up, and put Bradbury, Maddox, Epps, and Slay in the quarters, and tell Gardner Johnson, you're manning Kelsey.
That's
You're
their.
manning
I
Kelsey
think that.
right
I think
now.
that's their
Then
best.
that opens Juju up underneath.
Yeah, and also
Um,
Jarrett McKinnon coming out of the backfield.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that this, like, they are going to run quarters.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is supposedly going to be healthy for this game as well.
Oh, really?
Which completely changes that dynamic. But that's what I heard.
So
I don't think it's been
another
confirmed yet.
interesting stat note I got here. So James Bradbury, 24 completions on the year. Gotta be near the top of the league. Like, he has had an outstanding season. Darius Slay only has 9. Maddox only has 4. Epps only has 6. And Gardner Johnson somehow only has 3 forcing completions. I think he has 8 interceptions, though.
Yeah.
Which is insane. That means a lot of his interceptions have come as fluky plays rather than him beating a receiver to the ball. It's come on tip passes. It's come on weird incompletions and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think they're going to go straight at Gardner Johnson.
Yeah. You might have
I think they're going to go straight at him and say, you're not going to get an interception out of this. Yeah, I really like Kelsey in this game. And also, I like Justin Watson in this game.
Yeah. I like Justin Watson a lot in this game too. I haven't made a bet on him yet. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but he's definitely somebody I'm eyeing.
Yeah, and then clearly we can't fit the whole D-line rotation in this graphic for Philly, but their D-line runs 8 deep. It's disgusting. They'll probably put Hassan Reddick over Andrew Wiley because that's the weak spot, and Reddick's got 21 sacks on the year, including playoffs. So
their entire defensive line, I think, set the record. They set the record for most D-line sacks in a year. They're nasty, but Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys. He can get up quick, fast, in a hurry if he needs to, and then as soon as you get tired, he can sit back there for an extra second or two and make that big play. I mean, he's just so dangerous, and I'm assuming they're not going to bring too much pressure on him. They're just going to try to get done with their D line. So I mean, that's their best chance.
They'll run some games, but I don't think they're going to bring in more than 4 very often.
Yeah, but if they're leaving Travis Kelce open on those dump passes or Jarrett McKinnon on those dump passes, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has evolved as a player so much that he'll take that 3-yard dump pass to Kelce or McKinnon or just anybody every time, and he'll worry that defense. Even with 8 men deep, I mean, there's only so many 12-play drives that you can do before you're like, okay, we have to start bringing an extra back, or we have to start bringing the nickel. And then once you start doing that, you start getting torched over the top because Patrick Mahomes will destroy any blitz package you bring at him. So yeah.
And the last thing I'm noticing here, Epps to Gardner Johnson to White, this triangle right here, that's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot for KC to hit. Just right of where they're snapping from midfield. Right here, right in here is exactly where they need to be winning.
And that's where Kelsey feasts.
That is where Kelsey feasts. Should we get to Propapalooza?
Propapalooza. Boom.
Let's do it.
Propapalooza. All right. So I already gave out my over. So that's my basically only against the spread bet that I have for this game. I have over 51. I have 4 units on that. Biggest bet of my card is over 51, 50.5. You can still get that some places. I got it at 51. But I'll get into my first bet. It's a MVP bet. The only MVP bet I have Isaiah Pacheco here. And I have this because I think if he can break off some runs early with his ability as a pass catcher, I could see him going for 87 on the ground, 120 in the air, and a couple of touchdowns. And I could see him for value here at plus 4,000. Everybody else, Travis Kelce, I think was 1,200. AJ Brown, 1,150. Patrick Mahomes plus 150. Miles Sanders plus I think 700. Jalen Hurts plus 150. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of good value. And as far as great value goes for a guy that can really explode, I love Pacheco here in this spot. Not saying it's going to happen, but like I said, as far as value goes, I think he has the best value for a guy that's going to see the field a lot, have a lot of touches, and have a chance to make a huge impact on the game. I love this Super Bowl MVP bet right here at plus 4,000 for Isaiah Pacheco.
I like that. I think that's definitely good value. Let's see, first up on my card, I got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts under 237.5 passing yards. That shoulder's not right. Like, I mean, maybe it is, but he hasn't shown it to be right, which means I'm going to follow the logic. I think the Eagles are going to try to keep it on the ground. I am heavily invested in Kansas City as well. I think if Jalen Hurts is throwing a lot, that means Kansas City's probably winning.
Yeah.
So give me a mini hedge here on how invested I am in KC with
like
a chance to win either way.
Yeah, I was looking at his I almost took his under for pass attempts. I think it was at 33. I kind of like that, but I veered away from it. But next one I have here is an Eagles prop, and it's the first touchdown scored by an Eagles player. I have Devontae Smith at plus 700. I love this because not a first touchdown prop, so it doesn't matter if Kansas City scores first. First Eagles touchdown, Devontae Smith, one of their biggest weapons, at plus 700. I love this. I mean, they love him in that red zone area. AJ Brown's more of their deep threat guy, but once they get inside the 20s with how quick Devonta Smith is, I mean, they love to do those little quick out and up routes and everything else that he does. I mean, he's such a threat. I love this bet at Devonta Smith, first Eagles player to score a touchdown at plus 700.
I mean, you could throw just about any Devonta Smith bet at me, and I'd tell you it's good.
Yeah.
This guy's a big-time player who shows up big time
in
big-time games.
You look what he did the national championship his last year at Bama, and
yeah.
It's stupid. What do you have, like 365 yards and like 3 touchdowns? Yeah. Just stupid. And everybody, and he was the Heisman winner that year. It's like everybody knew where the ball was going, and it couldn't be stopped. And here he's not even like you think about the Philly offense, and you're like, oh, AJ Brown. You look at their running game. You look at what Jalen Hurts can do on the feet, and then you just have little old Devonta Smith out there, 165 pounds, and you're like, oh yeah, he's still really freaking good.
He's been on a tear since week 13. He's been on a tear. Like last week he wasn't, but they didn't throw. They didn't need to, so sticking with the Devonta Smith aspect, I have Devonta Smith longest reception over 23.5 yards.
Ooh, I
think that's easy money. Easy money. Like I think it was like minus 110 or something, but I just think that's free money.
Yeah, I like that a lot. He could get that early too. I mean,
he could get that one catch early. Like that's nothing for a guy who's been averaging like 70, 80 a game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like that one a lot. My next one, another one that I absolutely love, is the number one gadget guy in this game. That Andy Reid finds a way to make this man find the end zone every game that he's healthy. And if you're not taking this anytime touchdown scorer, you are crazy. It's Kadarius Toney, anytime TD at plus 300. Andy Reid finds a way to get this guy in the end zone every game that he is healthy. He is the number one gadget guy probably in the NFL. He may only touch the ball 3 times, and he might have 2 touchdowns. I love Kadarius Toney. Anytime touchdown plus 300. He will get a touchdown in this game.
I'll throw a shekel on that. I didn't have it, but I'll throw a shekel.
I mean, Andy Reid is obsessed with Kadarius Toney. He's his favorite little toy.
So, next up for me, like I said, I think Philly's going to try to keep the ball on the ground. I think they've kept Miles Sanders' legs fresh to this point. Give me Miles Sanders over 13.5 carries.
I like
Again, this hedges with how invested I am in KC, because if Philly's winning, they're probably going to keep running the football. But if not, they still might keep running the football. So I think it's a win-win either way. Gives me that double side, you know. So Miles Sanders over 13 and a half carries. I know Kenneth Gainwell has been eating into it more and more, but I think this is the Super Bowl. He's a free agent. You're going to ride him for everything you can.
The game just moves so slowly in the Super Bowl between TV timeouts and everything else. Is that it's like if you're struggling to get something going, like we might see like 7 straight plays where they just run Miles Sanders at 4 or 5 yards.
Eagles are not afraid to march all the way downfield at 3.5 yards a play, going for 4th downs. Like,
yeah,
that is what they do.
And he can definitely steal some carries in a scenario like that. So I like that a lot. Next one here, Travis Kelce. 2 TDs or more. So as long as he has to get 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce at 2 touchdowns plus 350. I love this. I mean, they love Travis Kelce in the red zone. They do all those crazy little shovel passes with him. Also do them with Kadarius Toney. So I think if they get within the 15-yard line, I'm basically going to get at least 1 Kelce touchdown. Then I have to get 1 more, or I get a Kadarius Toney touchdown. I think they're the 2 biggest red zone threats within the 15. So it's almost like a hedge, but Kelce's just so good. I think he can get 2 here. So Kelce 2 touchdowns plus 350.
I can see it. I went a different way with Kelce. I got a couple units on his over 7.5 receptions. Now I know that's a big number, but
he can get that on a drive.
We talked about against so much quarters, he's gonna get his chances to eat. So
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a drive with 6 catches. Honestly, I mean that's what they. What was it in the AFC Championship game? What do you have? 14 catches.
Something like that. It was something ridiculous.
And he had a drive with 7 catches where nothing big. It was 7 yards, 7 yards, 7 yards, 7 yards. Then you get to the end of the drive and you're like, he's about to break the record. You know,
and also
he's like on the same like trajectory as like Jerry Rice for playoff as a receiver in the playoffs. Jerry Rice as a tight end.
Yeah,
stupid.
So
his usage rate is so freaking high.
It's ridiculous. So I actually looked up for this, looking at teams who run a lot of quarters on defense. The Chargers, their head coach is a Vic Fangio disciple, and the Broncos, their D coordinator is a Vic Fangio guy. Kelce's at like 5 to 7 catches per game in those 4 games this year. And that's not the playoffs. Like his playoff receptions are always higher than his regular season. So I feel like it's a really safe bet.
Yeah. No, I think that's easy money right there. What is that at? Minus 110?
So yeah, something around there.
Yeah. I would almost take an alternate over on that, like 10.5, and really get like around plus 300, plus 400, because I wouldn't be surprised if he has another 10, 11 catch game. No problem here. Because like I said, there might be a drive where he gets another 6 or 7. So I like that a lot. My next one here is an A.J. Brown prop. I have A.J. Brown at 2 TDs as well at plus 600. And he's just such a weapon. He's just so dangerous anywhere on the field that I could see him getting a touchdown early. And then at that point, you just need 1 more. So, yeah, at plus 600, I love the value there. So, had to sprinkle it.
600, that's decent. Looking here, let's see. Next one I got, I'll do 2 of them here. I got Brandon Graham over a 1/2 sack at plus 165, and I got Josh Sweat over 1/2 sack at plus 120. So each of those guys get at least a sack.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty good value there, because I think Philly can get about at least 3 sacks this game, and
Mahomes
the fact that the fact that one of them can get it, I like that a lot. My next one is an alternate spread. I have alternate spread Chiefs minus 13 at plus 450 here. Like I said, I think if one team runs away with this, I think it's going to be the Chiefs. I don't think Philly can run away with this. So I sprinkled that Chiefs minus 13 here. And I like that value a lot. I wish it plus 450. I thought it could have been a little bit better, but I still like it there at plus 450.
Yeah. Let's see here. I didn't do anything like that. I usually do some stair steps where I'll do like the KC by 1 to 7. I'll put a unit on, or I'll put like 2 units on. Then KC by 8 to 14, I'll put a unit and a half on, and then like Philly by 1 to 7, I'll put a half. Like I'll figure it out, the numbers, how to cover myself.
Cover yourself.
It's like the 3 most likely outcomes that I think will happen. And usually that's good money. I didn't do that this year, though, just because I didn't take the time to sit down and think it all through. But the next one I got here is Fat Pat, our boy Patty Mahomes.
Fat Pat.
Over 295.5 passing yards.
I like that.
Big number, but I always like a Fat Pat over.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to win this game on his arm. Like I said, I mean, I like Pacheco in this game, but I like Pacheco for 70 yards rushing. Like they're still gonna have to get it done in the air.
Yep.
And
I like him for some good receiving yards too.
They could I mean, he could get this number without having a 30-yard completion all game. I mean, he could eat you alive for 80 yards a drive and never throw the ball 15 yards downfield. So yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes ain't scared of dink and dunk if you've watched him this season, and he'll still go well over 300. Just checking it down, throwing the ball 7 yards and getting 5 yards after catch every time, and just march down the field.
The only defense that's ever really figured him out was Cincy, right? Cincy's the only defense that has given him real trouble outside of Tampa in the Super Bowl when he had no line.
Is that Cincy figuring him out, or is that Trey Henderson just being so freaking good?
Oh, I think Lou Amarulo's a stud. I think Cincy knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be a great matchup for a long time. But yeah, I mean, Cincy has his number, but I mean, he still puts up decent yards even though Cincy games. So
yeah. But speaking of Pacheco's yardage, I have over 2.5 receptions for Pacheco.
I like that. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire plays, that kind of hurts a little bit.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
CEH might.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like 50-50 right now. Last I heard is he's ready to go, and with McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that kind of hurts a little bit. But Pacheco's just been so good for him. I like that 2.5, especially in the Andy Reid screen game.
So. If I'm being honest, like if I'm the Chiefs, I'm not sure how much run I'm even giving CEH with how good I've been with Pacheco
and McKinnon. Yeah, no, I agree. But it's the Super Bowl. I mean, like I said, if they're on a 12-play drive, I mean, throwing some fresh legs. Like, I mean, when CEH was healthy earlier in the year, man, I mean, he was putting up good numbers.
He's one of my fantasy sleepers.
So you never know. My next one is a heavily debated prop in the Super Bowl. It's that the opening kickoff is a touchback.
I almost took this.
No. I took that it's not going to be a touchback. I listened to Pat McAfee last year stand on the table saying it's not going to be a touchback. You have different balls. You have brand new balls. You don't really get to kick them. And last year it was a touchback, and everybody was like, "Oh," and it was like a big deal that it was a touchback last year. I don't think it's gonna be a touchback this year. I got it plus 115.
I have.
You look at the returners for both sides, and they both think they can do something with it. And I think both teams return guys, even if it is deep, like 5 to 7 yards deep. I think they both will be like, "It's my chance to make a play on the Super Bowl. I'm bringing this out." Like.
So I have one reason why I I was going to bet yes on touchback. And that one reason is named Dave Toub. Dave Toub, Kansas City special teams coordinator, is the only coordinator to have coordinated the opening kickoff of a Super Bowl for a touchdown. So one, there's history of his team doing it, so Philly might think that through. Two, he knows how terrible it is to let it up, so he might just tell his kicker, kick it through the uprights. I don't care, just don't give him a chance.
Yeah.
That's his record. Like,
yeah.
So that's the only reason I leaned towards it. I didn't end up doing it, but I was very close to betting the.
So I just leaned no because Pat McAfee was just so confident last year that it was going to be a no, and it was a touchback last year. Then everything that he said last year, like I think last year for it not to be a touchback was plus money, or for it to be a touchback last year was plus money. This year for it not to be a touchback is plus money. I think whoever gets it is gonna think they're gonna make a play unless they kick it out of the end zone. But whatever, like I don't know anything about kicking, so I kind of just take everything that Pat McAfee says as the Bible, and the way he described kicking off in a Super Bowl with the way the ball is, without being able to prep the ball and everything, it's hard to kick. The nerves are just flowing through the body. You usually don't kick it as far. Yeah, I'm taking no here, plus 115. And right, I actually have 2.5 units on it. It's one of my bigger bets. Like I'm gonna be feeling good or bad like as soon as it happens. Boy.
Right off the bat. Just throw it in a crazy parlay with your life savings on it so you can lose it all or like still have hope at the kickoff. Like that's like Uncut Gems, and Adam Sandler just like has a ridiculous parlay that starts off with who wins the tip off. It's like, who would do this?
A $500,000 parlay, and the first part of the parlay is who wins the tip. Oh man.
I remember
that was a pretty good movie. It was a pretty good movie, but I'm like, who's laying these fucking like nobody is laying that.
When I watched that movie, my wife turned to me and she's like, "Don't ever become this." I'm like, I would never lay that dumb of a parlay.
Yeah, that is insanity. Like right. I don't even know if you could lay that parlay, honestly.
Next up here, I got Juju over 33.5 receiving yards, because how the hell could you not take that? Like,
yeah,
I know he's hurt, but 33.5? Like,
that's another one. So you can get them one play.
Also have MVS at 37.5, just because it's like, why wouldn't I?
They got to throw it to somebody else besides Kelsey.
Yeah. Like those two just seem like no brain. One of those two has to hit. Like,
yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be Justin Watson. It could be Jarrett McKinnon. Could be Scott Moore. But
I got
it's
some
like
Justin Watson magic coming up for you. Don't you worry.
All right. Well, I'll go to my last one, and then we can cover the rest of yours. But my last one here is that there will be at least one successful 2-point conversion in the game, and I got that at plus 265. I love that.
It's good value.
I think we have two,
especially with Philly.
Yeah, I think we have two aggressive coaches, and Philly likes to be aggressive, and Kansas City has had a shaky kicker all year, and I don't think Andy Reid's going to put up with any sort of bullshit nonsense. So, like, if their kicker struggles early, I think they immediately go 2-point conversions.
Okay.
So with an aggressive team like Philly on top of a shaky Butker all year, plus 265 with at least one successful 2-point conversion, I love that.
Yeah, I can dig it. I got KC over 2.5 touchdowns. Value shit here. I just think it's an easy bet.
Yeah,
it's at minus 150, but I don't really care.
That's not too bad. I mean,
yeah. And then I got the second half to outscore the first half in total
like
at
that
plus 110. I think that's my bet. That's my best prop.
Yeah,
the Super Bowls tend to start slow. tends to be defense in the first half, offense in the second half. The fact that it's plus money actually makes me a little more nervous about it, but
Yeah.
I still think that's a good play. In fact, it's actually probably plus money because they think that Mahomes' ankle will start bugging him in the second half. But I don't know.
I don't know, man. That dude, he looks fine from everything that I'm seeing. Maybe they're just posturing, but like that dude looks fine.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
And then my favorite 2 bets, not my best, but my favorite, because it took some work on these guys.
Are these your math bets?
Oh yeah. So these came. Remember how I said I was looking at Kelsey against quarters defenses? What I noticed while I was doing that was that in 3 of those 4 games, Justin Watson had a deep catch, which means that Andy Reid loves to scheme up a deep shot to Justin Watson against quarters defenses. He loves to leak them out with behind decoy routes that pull the coverage away and just give the dude a shot. Like against the Chargers, 50 yards, 67 yards. Against Denver, 27 yards. Like, so
you listen to some of the guys on the team talk about Justin Watson, and they're all like enamored with him. Like, so whenever he like came on the scene and like joined the team, I remember like there was a Travis Kelce interview where he was like, "We got another white boy out here." He's like, "This is cool," but just the way like teammates talk about him is just like he's just so much better than you think he is. That he can just sneak away almost, and it's just like almost a throwaway. Like, oh, it's just somebody that they're just like. They like defense almost sees it as like a decoy. They're like, oh, they're not going to throw it to him, and then all of a sudden he's catching a 50-yard bomb. It's crazy, but you listen to his teammates talk about him, about how fast he is, about like how good his hands are and everything. They're like, this dude is like a legit problem, and then like nobody knows about him.
150 of his 300 yards this year have come in 3 games against quarters heavy defenses. Like, I love it. So I got his yardage over was only like 18, so I juiced it up to 28 at plus 125, and then I took anytime touchdown score at plus 750, and if you want to get full degenerate on it, Super Bowl MVP at plus 10 million.
That's spicy. I like that.
I didn't even look up the Super Bowl MVP, but I'm gonna bet it right after the show because I have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it right now. But dude, that is, I mean, it's one of those where if he gets like 3 touchdowns, like it's not out of the.
Or if he just gets like a game winner, if it's like a stalemate, and Andy Reid's like, we've been saving this play.
Yeah, and one prop that I was not able to find this year that's been my favorite prop is over 2.5 players to throw a pass. I can't find it this year. I don't know why. But it's usually at like plus 350-ish. And I'm upset that I can't find it because it's one of my favorite bets to lay every year. And it hits every year. And I can't find it. So if you can find it on your book, take it because it almost always hits.
Guaranteed.
Almost always hits, guaranteed.
Every time.
Absolutely. And then like there's a couple more that I like that I like Jerick McKinnon props a lot on receiving. I just haven't found one that I really love.
Really? I felt like last week they because they knew if they brought McKinnon on so much, like they didn't want to run the ball with McKinnon, so they just used because they were going to be throwing the halfbacks more.
Yeah.
They used Pacheco more in the passing game, which makes me more skeptical of McKinnon's usage.
Yeah, Justin Watson plus 220,000. So $1 wins $220.
I'll put $1 on it.
I'm putting $100 on it. 20 plus 22,000. I got lost in all those zeros. I'm gonna put $10 on
Okay.
it. $10 to win 2,200.
Yeah,
Just
I'll put the rest of
yeah.
my bankroll, whatever it is, on it. It's only a
$10
couple bucks
to win
at this point, 'cause
2,200.
I'm all propped out.
Yeah. A couple others that, like, if you're just looking for a flyer, guys like Kadarius Toney, Frank Clark, Son Reddick, guys that can make a big impact. Fletcher Cox is at plus 19,000, and he's one of those guys that's so good.
I think James Bradbury could be juicy.
Yeah, I just saw him. James Bradbury, he's got the same odds as Justin Watson, plus 22,000. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, plus 7,000. Juju, plus 7,000. Like,
How
some of these guys,
hilarious would it be if MVS went out there and won Super Bowl MVP after years of Aaron Rodgers being like, I need help?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was kind of like the hero in that AFC Championship game. But yeah, if you want to look at like the main guys, like I have Isaiah Pacheco plus 4,500, Patrick Mahomes plus 117, Jalen Hurts plus 119, Travis Kelce at plus 1,100, AJ Brown plus 1,575, Miles Sanders plus 2,200. Miles Sanders might be the best value for Philly at plus 2,200 there. Devontae Smith at plus 2,900. I mean, that's good value. There's some good value on MVP there.
Yeah.
If you think the MVP is not coming from Mahomes or Hurts, there's a lot of good value to be had there. So, but if you're going to take Mahomes or Hurts, you might as well just take Philly or KC at that point.
Yeah,
because if you take Mahomes at plus 115, you might as well just bet the Chiefs money line.
Yeah.
Like, why would you take Mahomes at plus 115? It's not a good bet.
Don't make no sense.
He's not going to win it if he loses. So
what would he have to do in a losing effort to still win Super Bowl MVP?
475 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Would that be enough?
If they lose and Jalen Hurts doesn't have like a big game, and like let's say Miles Sanders gets 2 touchdowns, Jalen Hurts throws 2 touchdowns, Kenneth Gainwell gets a touchdown, like Boston Scott gets a touchdown, the defense doesn't do a whole lot, and like Patrick Mahomes is just willing his team to victory on one leg with 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. Yeah, I think that's the only way it happens.
All right.
But still, that would still be terrible value on 117. Like, if you like Mahomes that much, just take all of his overs, and you'd be better off than just taking plus 115.
You could parlay all the overs.
Yeah, I mean that's terrible value for. I mean, I guess Philly is the favorite, so maybe Hurts at plus 119. But I could see a scenario if Philly wins this game, Hurts isn't even close to being the best player.
Yeah.
But he is the quarterback, so he probably still gets the MVP nod. But yeah, I mean, there was Tom Brady Super Bowls. Tom Brady wasn't the MVP, multiple. So
yeah, there's been plenty of Super Bowls where the quarterback's not MVP.
yeah,
Aaron Donald was MVP last year, wasn't he?
I don't remember,
I
honestly.
think Aaron Donald was MVP last year.
Yeah, that would make sense. I can find out in about 2 seconds. 2022. I don't remember Aaron Donald really doing much in that Super Bowl, but he might have.
He was just tearing up that O-line.
Cooper Kupp, yeah.
Still not a quarterback counts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like as soon as you said that, I was like, I don't think it was Aaron Donald, but I know it wasn't Stafford.
It was that other non-quarterback on the Rams.
I completely forgot about Cooper Kupp, even though he was my favorite player going into that season for fantasy football. Still couldn't have predicted what he did, but he was my favorite.
If you're
sleeper.
doing FanDuel drafts or any DFS, love Devonta Smith this week.
Devonta Smith, Jerick McKinnon, Travis Kelce. Build around those guys, in my opinion.
if you can, if you're doing like a 3-person draft or a 2-person draft, like just stack Mahomes and Kelsey together. I think that's the smartest thing you can do for this game for DFS.
That if you really want to get crazy, and let's say you're 3 or 4 people deep, Kadarius Toney, Chiefs will use him. Chiefs. He might, like I said, he might only get 3 plays, but all 3 plays will be like design touchdowns for him.
Andy Reid's gonna pull out some crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't think I've been this excited for a Super Bowl since probably Philly, New England. And that's the only time I've ever cheered for New England in a Super Bowl and they lost. So maybe I don't have the best track record against cheering against Philly. I cheered for Donovan McNabb, Philly team against New England. So I'm always on the wrong side when it comes to Philly. So hopefully that's not the case this year because Patty needs to get a second and just keep it rolling, boy.
Man, so I feel like KC has they were young, want it, nothing. We want it. We're good. We're gonna go do it again. And they got knocked down a peg of it's fucking hard.
Yeah,
this thing.
That and even with them being the Super Bowl this year, everybody talks about the future of the AFC, and it's still all Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, oh, look at what the Chargers are doing. Oh, the Broncos got Sean Payton, and it's we only just hosted the AFC Championship for the 5th time in a row since Mahomes became the starter. We're only in the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in 5 years with Mahomes being the starter. But everybody's already talking about the Sean Payton Broncos, the Justin Herbert Chargers, the Joe Burrow Bengals. They're already being disrespected, with people talking about next season in the future, and the Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, where I was going with that is Philly's only got 4 players from the last time they were here.
Yeah.
So they're that young team now who doesn't probably recognize how difficult this is against a team full of guys who know exactly how difficult this is.
And on top of that, you have to give who's the Philly GM? It's escaping me.
Howie Roseman, the wizard himself.
Jalen Hurts is going to want to get, I would assume he's going to want to get paid this year. Why would he not want to get paid this year? Because he wasn't a first-round pick, so he's going to the last year of his deal. Mm-hmm. Just took his team to the Super Bowl. Probably should have been in the MVP discussion. You basically have the best. You have the best position group at every single position group in the NFL. That's not sustainable. And Jalen Hurts may or may not be the answer. Who knows? But it's you pay Jalen Hurts and all that goes out the window immediately. Maybe they can run it back one more time, but this is basically one or done for Jalen Hurts, and then it's going to be on his back after this because they're not going to keep this offensive line together. Jason Kelsey is on his way out any day now. He may, like I said, he might stick around for another year, but you're not keeping Devontae Smith and AJ Brown together. You're probably not going to be able to keep Dallas Goedert. You're not going to keep that defense together. You draft well, and you've been really good at convincing ring chasers to come join your team. But yeah, they're going to be in trouble if maybe they won't be in trouble. Maybe Jalen Hurts is that good, but yeah,
I don't know. All I know is I cannot doubt Howie Roseman anymore. I don't know how he does it, but
yeah, I don't know. They paid Carson Wentz all that money, and somehow here they are
they're right back here.
Without Carson Wentz. And they were able to get a first-round pick for Carson Wentz when the Colts basically did everything in their power to not give him that first-round pick. And Carson Wentz is all Carson Wentz had to do was be I have 2 severely sprained ankles. I'm not going to play this game. And somehow they were oh, well, if you play this game, we have to give them our first-round pick. So we're going to throw you out there on 2 sprained ankles. You look at the details of that Carson Wentz trade to Indy, And it's like, how in the world did they end up with that first round pick? It was crazy. Yeah. I don't know.
Which team do you think wants it more?
KC.
Why?
I think because Patrick Mahomes hates losing more than he likes winning.
Yeah.
And I think Philly is just. I think Philly already thinks they earned it. Like they feel like I feel like I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like.
Well, that's what I was getting at by saying how like they only have like 4 or 5 guys from their last run, and they're young now. They think it's that like they see it as a little easy to get here right now. And Casey's hardened by their failures of getting here.
I think Philly's in Philly's mind, like maybe it's different for like guys on the team, but like Philly fans, Philly media, they're just like, oh, this is our Super Bowl. Like, why would it not be? Like, we're better than KC at every position besides quarterback. It's like this is our Super Bowl, like, and it just doesn't work like that.
And 3 tech.
3 tech and tight end.
And tight end.
But yeah, I mean,
Pride left guard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm talking about like position group. It's basically just quarterback and tight end probably. But anyway, it's like
Casey's secondary might be better just because I don't think Philly's safeties are all that good.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like the general public consensus.
Yeah,
but
give me the team with the best offensive and the best defensive player. That's all I know.
I agree, man, and everybody loves Philly. I mean, if you've been in the betting game a long time, if everybody loves something, you're probably on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And I love KC. And nobody else does. So I'm feeling good about this game.
I am too, man. I am too.
Maybe next year we can get a Cowboys-Bears Super Bowl. I guess Cowboys are going to the AFC. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Heard it here first.
We're going to the AFC South. They're going to send the Texans to the AFC or NFC East. We're going to have Bears Cowboys next year.
Lock it in. Love it.
Lock it in. I'm so excited to be back, though. We took 2 weeks off, or a week off. And you did your thing at the Senior Bowl, but it's good to be back. It's good to talk ball. Don't sleep on the Lions. Probably going to be the most bet team next year. And I'm so excited for it. We got a draft coming up. One of my favorite drafts in a long time. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have so much content for you this offseason. So make sure if you're listening, like and subscribe. We'll keep you up to date all offseason on this upcoming season. And make sure to follow us on Propapalooza. Win all the money. You won't lose any money. And go Chiefs, go Mahomes. Don't sleep on the Lions. Let's go, boys.
Adios.